What if you could hold up a mirror to a man's life and help him see his story the way God sees it? Daniel Chesnut's story has wandered all over the place. From surfing to filmmaking, he spent years waiting, listening, wandering. But it was in the meandering that he realized that his calling was not about making movies. It was about waking people up to the story they're already living in.
The movies and stories we love are gateways to see ourselves and God in new ways.
Every great story borrows its power from a larger story, the story that's written on our hearts and woven into the fabric of our very being.
Hello and welcome to the Men at the Movies podcast. My name is Paul McDonald and I am super excited to welcome my friend Daniel Chesnut to the podcast. Hey Daniel, how you doing today, man?
So good. Honored to be with you, Paul, and everybody. Yeah, this is awesome.
Yeah, normally I do I'll try to, it's like, hey, we're going to talk about this movie and going to do this guy. But I was like, man, I'm just so excited. I just want to get to talking. And so Daniel and I met. We have what we were just talking about. It's like we have this epic meet cute.
Yeah.
We were in Colorado in November of 23 at Survivor School. And this is the last night. So the Saturday night, a lot of the big stuff has happened, the big conversations. And so at, which I don't remember the camp it was at.
Yeah.
I don't remember the name of it, but it's.
Yeah, the one.
The Young Life camp near Winter Park and Fraser and that one. They have this incredible, huge hot tub.
The coolest.
Like it's not, it's
40 guys.
It's bigger than a pool. And it's filled with these hot springs. And so we're in there, we're hanging out. Lots of guys are like, this is the last night, so it's going to be a late night. And I'd start talking, you and Mark were hanging out, giggling like you guys do and laughing.
That's true.
And we started talking because you're a filmmaker. Mm-hmm. But in that moment, like over the weekend, John Eldridge had shared the trailer for the Wild at Heart docuseries. Mm-hmm. And so my buddy John Anderson, he's like, oh yeah, I know him. I was like, oh, will you introduce us? Because I was like, it seems like a interesting conversation to be had.
Yeah.
And so we went over, we introduced and started talking movies. And, you had said Interstellar was one of your favorites. And
yes.
And as we're sitting there, it begins snowing. Like a lot of snow. Like when we left the hot tub, I had like 2 inches of snow on my flip-flops.
It was magical. I mean, snow in the jacuzzi. Like one of my favorite things is being in a hot tub in the snow. Yeah. It's another thing to be in the hot tub in the snow and it's snowing because it usually melts before it hits the water, which is really interesting because I love it. It's magical.
It was. So that was our meet cute, our magical meet cute. Yeah. And since then we've been trying to get together, trying to connect, as part of this process of, I actually know all the guys who are part of the docuseries. Yeah. Like I knew Leo. I knew Mark because I just met him. Mm-hmm. but I knew Sam, and I knew Pablo. Pablo's been on the podcast quite a few times already. Mm-hmm. And, since then we met again at the muster. Mm-hmm. And I went and again. And so, been engaged with stuff with the Wild Sons out there. And so we've had some conversations offline, just, why use a podcast as an excuse for a conversation? Just have a conversation.
Yeah.
But so I've been really, really excited about this conversation to get into, kind of your story focused on the filmmaking aspect and Wild at Heart aspect, 2 things I think which are close to my heart and obviously close to yours too.
Yeah. Yeah. So where do we start, Paul? Start with the filmmaking.
Yeah. Yeah. So the question that I started out with, when we talk when I've talked with some industry people, I give them the opportunity to say, we could do a movie and sort of incorporate your story, or we can just sort of talk about your story and your involvement and what brings your heart to life. Typically, they pick that second one. Yeah. I've had a couple that pick the movie, but so
we'll do another podcast and talk about Interstellar or something,
or Gladiator or something.
Or Gladiator, or all the movies.
all the movies. I had somebody that I met at a conference a couple weeks ago, and we're talking about getting him on the podcast, and he sent me a list of like 20 movies. I was like, well, let's start with one and see how it goes.
Good idea.
So when talking about filmmaking, that is not an easy thing to that's not something you just sort of jump into. So what was it like? How did you get started in that world, and sort of more, not more importantly, but what was it that draw you to that sort of profession?
Sure.
In general.
Yeah, I have a very interesting kind of filmmaking story, in the sense that a lot of filmmakers have that, like, had a handy cam and would make home videos as a kid, and we'd make horror films in the backyard and or like skate videos or whatever it was. For me, I didn't grow up making videos at all. My dad always had a video camera on his shoulder, which is fun to think back. Like, he has all these home videos. So my dad had I look back, I've actually never made this connection, but I do look back and see my dad's intentionality around wanting to capture and sort of distill, or, create a time capsule of memories. Which I'm a very nostalgic person, and something I love about filmmaking is the ability to capture a moment and freeze it in time, and over time see how the meaning of it can change. Anyways, I got into film. My kind of entryway, I always loved movies. Movies were actually like a important sort of part of initiation in my home. Like, initiation wasn't intentional in my house. Like, it wasn't like communicated or rites of passage, but my dad had a way of naturally doing that, and film was one of the ways he did it. Like, I had my older brother is 6 years older than me. There were movies I knew I couldn't see until I turned a certain age, that he and my dad would talk about. And I'd be like, oh, I can't wait to be 13 so I can watch Tombstone with my dad and my brother. Some big moments. So film, I think, was kind of in me from an early age, because of the way it was like, I had an older brother and there were things I couldn't see yet. And that must have meant they're important. And so I can't wait to like experience those things. And then they were always big nights. Like, Thanksgiving was Indiana Jones, and we saw all the Lord of the Rings over Thanksgiving break. Each one in the theater. Like, there were some big moments around movies that I think started to shape, like, I love this stuff, like it's just cool. So I get into high school. School, part of my story, just really hard time in school. Never had great grades or good grades, and always had to work harder than my siblings. Like, just felt like it was just harder for me. And I drew a lot of comparison to my siblings. Like, oh, it just seems so easy for them. Why does it seem so hard for me? And in high school, I went to a new school my sophomore year, and they had this really cool, this was 2002, 2003. Somewhere in there. They had a video editing program in my high school. And at that time it was like, now every school has an offering, or most schools have an offering like that. But at that time it was like a big deal. And their editing program had editing suite per student in the class. So it was like legit. And the program was like set up in a way that by the end of your first year, you should be able to be like a certified editor in Avid and Final Cut, and like, so really structured and cool. And I got a good grade. Like for the first time.
It probably came easy, right?
And it came easy. And I liked it. Like I really liked it. But looking back, I'm like, did I like it? Or did I feel success? Like, did I feel like I found something that I'm like, oh, and I did like it because I love film and I loved being able to like chunk these pieces together. It felt like building something. But yeah, so editing was my on-ramp. And so coming out of high school, I was like, okay, this is something I'm good at. Maybe I should do a film school. Maybe I should go to film school. If I'm going to go to college, I'm going to look for a place that offers something like that. I ended up going to a small school here in Costa Mesa, Orange County, called Vanguard. And they had like a media program, but definitely not a film school. Spent my first 2 semesters there. Ended up getting offered a job at an action sports company called Hurley. At that time, they had just been bought by Nike or were about to be. And so it was like really exciting time to come in. And I started working like at 17 years old as an editor and shooting video, dabbling in also camera work.
Well, and because I mean, there's more to a connection there than just working with Hurley, because it's not like you were sit in your room all day reading books.
That's right. Yeah. Yeah. So
like
I grew up like
some familiarity
surfing
with the brand.
Yeah, I was a surfer. I'm a surfer. I grew up around that. And I definitely didn't want to be like, make surf movies. What I wanted to do was make this a career. And the fact that there was an open door, I got to go to Hurley, and I was really wanting to be a part of their team, like be a sponsored surfer. And so I got the opportunity to like surf with some of their team. And I remember meeting the guy that ran their production, like their video team. And he took me back to the office after a session. And he was like, hey, if you could be sponsored and surf for the team or have a job, working with me in production here, what would you choose? And I said, both.
Because you were like, 17 and that's how you look at life.
It's like, it's the right answer. Like sometimes both is the right answer, because I don't think there's an either or there. And we hit it off, and he offered me like a mentorship for a year. And that was within the first few months, that mentorship turned into a full-time position. So that's like what got my start, Paul, into filmmaking. Yeah. But it's not what makes me come alive, So it's interesting that like my career story and filmmaking story is what got me in a direction for me to eventually find how what makes me come alive and my craft, which is now filmmaking, collide. And Wild at Heart, the series, is sort of this probably the perfect representation of what makes me come alive, calling, and my work, craft, sort of overlapping in this beautiful moment in my story, where like this is now probably the best depiction of what I really am about. If you want to know what I'm about, watch this. Yeah.
Well, and I love how, even in that moment, like I see sort of Jesus inviting you into that with the relationship with Hurley, right? If it had been you're out there in California, so take your pick of companies out there, if that had just been some random company saying, hey, we're looking for somebody to do this, probably doesn't spark your interest.
For sure. Yeah, it's a great point.
It's Hurley, it's surfing, they already were doing some great, really cool stuff because action sports is, I think, a lot of ways the cutting edge of that stuff with the GoPros and all that. But like, to me, that's the interesting part is like, there's almost, as John Eldridge talks about in his book, there's the levels of adventure.
Yes.
And in that, he sort of hooked you with the casual, with the surfing, those things that makes your heart come alive. He's like, oh yeah, look at this, which you may not have seen without both. They, like you said, both was the answer.
Yeah.
It's like one without the other doesn't get you to where you are, but you needed both to get there. So, so this is, your college age, your college years, and, which is much more recent that I like, that feels comfortable for me.
Dude, it's maybe in contrast, but this is like, I'm coming up on 20 years for my high school. Like, I'm 37. So whatever that is, I don't know the math right now, but it's been a long time.
Yeah.
I have a 13-year-old son. I met Katie. We've been married for 15 years. I met her. She was an intern at Hurley, bro. So you want to talk about story?
Oh my goodness.
Like, no, Hurley had this much to do with my work. What God was doing. I mean, it did kickstart my career path, and I wouldn't be where I am. Like, Morgan talks about, he has this podcast, what's the title of it? But essentially how, when you look back at your life, what you're going to see is a very straight line. When you're in it, it feels like a ping pong ball all the time.
Quote, right? The quote from Jaber Crow about looking back and seeing it's as straight as it possibly could have been. In the moment, it feels nothing like that
all the time, because that is so true. I look back at my decade, I look back at the last 15 years, and I see like, oh my gosh, this is like. But the dots that connect it all are relationships. They're yeses. They're no's. There's failure in there, but it's so beautiful how God just goes. What feels like boom, 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 boom over time just goes, and it's just, so anyways, I meet Katie at my work that, started my career and got me moving in a direction. But I look back and I'm like, oh man, that's such a cool story.
So what was your meet cute with Katie?
Oh, it's wonderful. Have I told you this story?
I don't remember.
Okay.
And if you haven't, we didn't record it. So I mean, we talked about our meet cute. I feel like it's only fair to talk about hers.
Yeah, that's true. It's actually pretty cute. So I'm working there. There's rumors interns are starting soon. Buzz around the office. We work in this separate, the creative team worked in this separate building from the rest of like marketing and design and all that. And the editors had, like, we had this loft upstairs that was not enclosed. So it was a upstairs loft that overlooked the rest of kind of the office area down below, where like design and different people were downstairs. So the interns were coming in to get their tour, and it was these two, and with one of the employees that was kind of responsible for, and she comes up to like meet the team. And I remember shaking her hand. First of all, I thought she was beautiful immediately, but I had already kind of like, we talked as a team. I was like, dude, I can't wait to meet this girl. Like, there was just this funny conversation I had with the team. She comes up and I shake her hand, and I remember, I'll never forget, like, my wife has a very firm handshake. Like, she is not a dainty handshaker. She is a firm handshake, which says a lot about her. And I was struck by her beauty. I was struck by her handshake. And I was struck by this feeling that, like, she was not impressed.
Ooh.
Like it didn't bother me in this, like, I got a peacock. It bothered me in this, like, I just had a 30-second interaction with a girl, and it was one that I've never had in my life. I've never met anyone like her. And it was 10 seconds. So kind of made her my mission.
I got to figure her out.
Yeah, I got to figure her out. Which that's how we met. So, but when I knew like there was something there, we were all connected. The whole company was connected through like an AIM chat where your Wi-Fi is, each computer. Anyways, so she's sitting at a computer down below, and I know which one she's on because each computer's named. And so me and the team of editors were like blasting music, and we're just goofing off and being silly and whatever. And I hop on, I'm like, hey, sorry we're so loud up here. And she says, guess what she says? She said, I'm like, hey, sorry we're so loud up here. Then she types, that's what she said. Enter. And this is the like the pinnacle of The Office era of life. Like The Office is airing every Thursday. I'm upset. Like it's my favorite show. I watch it religiously. And I was like, no flipping way did she just say that's what she said as like our first interaction in a text message. And I was like hooked. Yeah.
That is awesome.
Yeah. Sorry we're so loud up here. That's what she said. I'm like, yes, thank you, God. I found my wife. So started pursuing her and trying to, and yeah, that's how this story kind of went.
And how long was it from that's what she said to 2010 when you guys got married?
2 years. Yeah. Dated for 1.5 years and then got engaged, and 6 months later we were married.
That's so cool. And you've, how many kids?
1.
Your 13-year-old.
Yeah.
Who you just watched Gladiator with. Have you hit the Tombstone mark with him yet?
We haven't watched Tombstone yet.
Oh.
Not because of age, just more like, I don't know. Yeah, I'm waiting. There's still, one of my favorite things is showing my son movies that are important to me. And just because they're important to me, it makes me want to be really intentional about when,
Yeah.
Like, it's not like, oh, I love this movie, I'm going to show you all of them. It's like, no, I love this movie. Gladiator's coming before we go to Italy,
Right.
And when you're of age and you aren't disgusted by everything you're seeing, and you kind of get the story, like Gladiator's so important.
Yeah.
It is so important. You can't just watch it and be like, like my greatest fear would be to show him Gladiator and him be like, nah,
I don't get it.
Dude, no. That would only happen if he was too young, I think.
Right. And I love the way that you're approaching it with intentionality of, it's not that you're looking for the right time, which I think, in our way of talking, you're just like, okay, you're partnering with God and his initiation.
Yes.
Like I have these list of movies I want to go see with him. Let me know when the right time is.
Yeah.
And what movie and what order and all that. Because it's so easy to try to jump ahead, and because in our excitement, that's what we do.
Yep.
So I think actually that fits of, when did sort of the John Eldridge Wild at Heart stuff enter into your life?
Yeah.
And like how?
Yeah. I remember being in high school. I grew up Christian. I remember being in like a small group, and hey, we're going to read Wild at Heart. This is high school. I don't think I read it. I don't remember. I remember having it, but I didn't read books at all. I just couldn't get through them. So that was kind of like, yeah, I've heard about it. But then I got some of my close buddies that I made through relationships at work. One of them was leading, like, hit me up and was like, hey, I'm going to start hosting a Wednesday morning guys group. It was me and two of my best friends, like I think 3 or 4 of us. And he's like, hey, we're going to start Wild at Heart. So that was my first engaging the message and going through the book. He happened to run or be part of a ministry, a men's ministry that is a sort of runs in parallel with a Wild at Heart boot camp. So, this audience knows, like, there's lots of those now.
Right.
And so I remember going to what's called the expedition. And so my first real, like, being dropped into this message of the heart and John Eldredge, or sort of the sphere of his, was going to the expedition, a men's retreat, and having a really profound encounter with Jesus that radically changed my life in that season. Let's see when that was. I was married a couple years, had like a 2-year-old at that time.
Okay.
But I remember starting our men's group, like our men's group that started and going through the book was like right before my son was born. So like perfect timing. Right before my son's born, starting to walk with a small group of men, going through this message, starting to understand I can hear God's voice. There's these themes. I'm made for more. I have a story, and who I've become is in great part of the story that I've lived and the way my heart's been handled. All that was completely new to me. And it was kind of blowing my mind. So post expedition, I have this profound healing experience, and I just like dove headfirst deep into the deep end of John Eldredge, like reading all of a sudden I'm a reader. Like there's one author I'll read. It's John Eldredge. Like he just spoke my language. I understood him. And everything was taking me deeper. So I really went on this kind of like wild goose chase of just wanting whatever he was about, listening to the podcast, reading the books. The irony of the way my kind of career journey goes and being like eventually having this connection to them through my work was, I did a short film, kind of long form commercial project for a really close friend of mine. And it's still probably one of my favorite things I've done or made. And it somehow got to like Morgan. Morgan saw it, loved it. It really impacted him. And so like, okay, it was kind of circulating over there. And eventually, I think the first interaction, yeah, okay, I'm catching up. Sorry. So he had seen this thing that I made, and I'm at another expedition years later. It's probably 3 years later, and I'm sitting at lunch, and Morgan sits across the lunch table from me. We're in Colorado, at this retreat center for the expedition, and Morgan shows up to like just drop in and visit and say hi to the guys that run it, Reese, who's on the board at Wild at Heart. And Morgan sits across from me with his son Joshua, who is 10 at that time, and this was their trip. He was coming up to spend a day to show Joshua for the first time, this is the kind of things Dad does. Like, at least that's kind of my understanding. Like, he had never really brought him yet. And they weren't there all weekend. It was just for the afternoon. And Morgan's sitting across from me, and we start talking, and he's like, wait, are you Daniel Chesnut? Like, we kind of make this, he's like, we hit it off. And he's like, you got to come to an intensive. I lead these things. invites me to the intensive. I go out, have another beautiful time with God. And that's kind of when the door opened and I started to build a relationship with Morgan, directly, and some opportunities started to begin where I might be able to be a part of helping them produce some content around John's books and things like that. So the first project we did was with All Things New, the book, John's book on heaven. So yeah.
And did
helpful?
You do like the study guide stuff with that, or?
We did a video series.
Yeah.
We did a video. I didn't shoot. So if you've seen anything, there's like John on a stage talking through the content of All Things New. We didn't do that. I did these little short docs. It's some of my favorite things I've ever done. I got to have these conversations with like this guy, Scott, who's a paraplegic. And we were doing, John and I were like, what if we did these little stories on people who have experienced incredible loss, that have this profound eternal hope of the restoration of all things, beyond just hopeful optimism, but have actually had encounters with Jesus to the point where they know. They like know what's waiting, what's being preserved and restored for them. So these little 5-minute mini docs.
Yeah.
That was our first project together, and it was a really holy thing to be a part of. And still really proud of that work too. Yeah, so kind of got into Wild at Heart. That was 2017-ish. All Things New. I'll send you those, Paul. I don't know if you've seen them, but they're special.
Well, I remember seeing that one specifically, the quadriplegic.
Wheelchair.
Yeah. Did you do like the waking up in heaven?
Yeah.
Like the curtains and the woman sort of waking up.
Mm-hmm.
Those were, that was, so I guess one of the question that's popping, as you said, you sort of dove in into the message, the content, the stuff that he has. And All Things New is one of those books that's captures your attention. Some of his books kind of overlap, and some are really, like, for me, Moving Mountains is a really powerful book.
Oh yeah.
That it's a book on prayer that he's like, why do some prayers work and some don't? Because there's a way things work. And how to actually bring power into your prayer life. It's like, that's a good one. I'm reading, my brother and I and his best friend, we're through this year, we're like, let's each pick a book that we'll sort of read together. And so my brother's best friend, Jeremy, who lives in Birmingham, he picked Simply Jesus by N.T. Wright. And actually, I think he was like, hey, I'm going to start reading this book. And we're like, that sounds cool. Let's read a book about Jesus. So I got to pick next, and I picked Beautiful Outlaw.
Perfect.
Because again, that was one of the, that was a book that shaped how I saw Jesus.
Oh, me too, man.
Right?
So good. So helpful.
To the point I'm rereading it, and I'm like, sort of, I don't remember a time not thinking this, because it's been sort of ingrained in how I look. And it's like, this is, it's become part of sort of my DNA. Like his playfulness, his intention, his abundance, generosity. And like, I've read it numerous times now, and it's sort of been worked its way in. I've probably busted out a few of them. But what's one of the books of John's that you've read that has hit you, like, been one of those, like, it's interesting to me.
Other than all of them?
Other than all of them. Yeah, you have to pick. I'm not going to say you're on a desert island. You have to pick one. Yeah.
Walking with God.
Yep.
Like, I look back and I'm like, what a gift. what a gift to like John Eldridge basically open up his journal to me and show me what it looks like for a man to walk in intimacy with Jesus through the everyday, ordinary things. Like that just like opened my eyes to like how to journal, how to hear from God, like what God's actually interested in being a part of in my life, which is everything. And John, that book, Walking with God, kind of shows that. So that was really helpful. That's one I revisit. I haven't read it in a couple of years, but for a while it was one I read every year and just like, oh yeah, keep going, like keep going. All Things New. The sweet part of that book was it came in like desperation. So I got to be a part of the project after having experienced some loss, and it like I had one of the deepest, most profound encounters with Jesus through that book, and brought me healing and changed the way I view the world, the way I view time, the way I view my future, the way I view eternity, and the way I view and experience loss and grief. Like, it's been a complete lifeline. I haven't reread it, and I don't need to, because what it did literally rewired my brain and my heart, but rewired the way I see and experience, like so helpful. I could keep going on different books, but like those two were massive. Wild at Heart's obviously changed my life. And then Experience Jesus, really. The new stuff.
Yeah.
Come on.
But to me, the Experience Jesus, that feels like, I know this, that's not the intention, but it feels like a master's level course.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, we've graduated.
Because if that's your first book you've read from him, it's going to be weird.
Yeah. Yeah.
But to talk about, but at the same time, it's like, no, this is, as a believer, as a follower of Jesus, I want to experience him every day.
Yeah.
Multiple times.
Yeah.
Growing up for me, it was about religion and rules and do this, don't do that, know the right answers. And now it's a relationship. Well, how do I have a relationship with my wife?
Mm-hmm.
What does she want from me? Does she want me to be like, okay, here's this scripted thing? Does she want, well, I need to do my daily quiet time. I need to spend 5 minutes with you. So here you go. Here I am.
Check. Yeah.
Check.
Yeah.
Or does she want me to engage with her heart?
Mm-hmm.
We're getting to, she's won an award here for nursing in North Carolina. Wow. And we're getting to go to this black tie event. Cool. And so we don't have black tie sort of attire. So we get to go shopping. And my wife's not a big shopper. She doesn't like going out. She hates spending money. She's like, I don't want to spend like $10 on jeans. The one year she put on her Christmas list, glass top stove cleaner. I'm like, she's like, that'd be a good stocking stuffer. I was like,
not a Christmas gift, sweetie.
No, that's yes. So, but we went out, and so she tried a bunch of stuff on, and she's like, no, I want something shiny. I want something floor length. It's like, okay, perfect. Getting these ideas. She takes like 10 dresses into the dressing room, and then she comes out because our daughter was gone. So she's like, you need to take pictures, send them to Lainey. Dude, she would come out, and there'd be women that would be going in. They're like, oh my gosh, you're beautiful in that. One lady's like, oh, you look like a princess. I'm like, this is incredible. And we got down to like 3 dresses that were favorites, and she got all 3.
Oh.
And I was like, yes.
That's good for
Were
her.
they on sale? Were they on clearance? Yes, they were.
Yeah.
Was one of them like $27? Yes.
Yeah.
But the point is like there was a time when that would have been the criteria of which one is cheapest.
Right.
And that's the one she would have gotten. And instead, she's like, she got all 3, and she's got like these glittery gold sneakers now. And she's like, here's what I want you to wear. Are you okay with it? And I'm like, there's going to be a time where I'm going to really sort of put my opinions in on what I'm wearing my tuxedo for. This is not one of those times. Like, I am here to sort of show you off because that night's about you. So if you want me to wear this gold bow tie that I don't hate, it's just not my top pick. I don't hate it. If you want me to put gold glittery shoelaces in my white sneakers because that's the look you want, I'm fine with it. Not a problem. It's not always going to be the case. There was some really cool looking like black velvet shoes that I thought would look really awesome.
Heck yeah. That's awesome.
I was like, for next time.
Yes.
I have no idea what that has to do with our conversation.
Relationship.
Yes. So like, that's what's fun to me is I remember I enjoy golfing. So I was out golfing by myself one day and I'd hit a good drive and I'd be like high five in the Holy Spirit sort of thing. Be like, yep, good. Because it was me, it was sort of an act of devotion and worship. And okay, I want to go out and I just want to enjoy myself without caring about the score. And I was telling this to a friend of mine. It's like, do you think God really cares about how your golf game is? And sort of as we talk about these verbal processing gems that happen to come out of our mouths, it's like, well, you've got 2 boys. Do you enjoy watching them play football? And he was just like, huh.
Wow.
But like that idea, like as fathers, the way we feel about and I love our children, like I don't want my children to feel like they need to come approach me with this certain reverence.
Right.
I just want them to come to me.
Just be a part of their life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And if I feel that way about my children, wouldn't it make sense that God feels the same way about us?
Yeah.
And same thing for my wife. Like, you know, how can I love her? Yeah, the thing that we talk frequently, it's like, oh, love your wives as Christ loved the church. Oh, I'll die for you. Okay. That's a one-time thing. But what Jesus really did was like die every day.
Yeah.
It's like he humbled himself. He was a servant. He was unappreciated. He did things without expecting a response.
Yep.
And how hard that is for us as dudes
so
to
hard.
do that.
Did you see? I mean, I can't. Yeah.
I took the trash out.
Yeah. Gosh, I do that so much. I don't even know.
Right. We're just like, hey, babe, I contributed.
Yeah.
So again, like we talked about this culmination early with Hurley and with filmmaking. And now, even as you mentioned earlier, the partnership with Wild at Heart. And, you know, I'm sure some people may listen and be like, oh, it sounds like you're sort of deifying John. And you're like, oh, I follow his message. No, he just shows us how to follow Jesus better. And he helps me to become closer to Jesus. And that's why 100%. His books are so rich.
Yes.
And so now you had Hurley in filmmaking, and then you got the invitation to do this docuseries, sort of a bigger version of what you did with the All Things New, little 5-minute guys. What was that experience like? You know, if you said that was so holy, that those times sitting with the people that you filmed and talking about how they had this certainty, this anchor of hope.
Yeah.
What was it like then to go and talk with Leo and Mark, and not just talk, because you spent time with them?
Oh yeah. Yeah. I mean, jumping back a little bit, for what was it like? I mean, it's the greatest honor in the entire world. Like, I do not take it lightly, the opportunities I get to sit across from someone and weave through and get access to their hearts. Like, it's the greatest honor in the world. Like, so to do that, and I get to do that on a work level, there's just something that happens. There's something that happens with the camera. It's, I had a really good conversation a few weeks ago with a therapist, a world-renowned psychotherapist. And I was like drawing this parallel between, it's like his couch is like my camera. There's something that happens that I think it could do one or two things. One, it could make someone lock up completely and shut down, or it can do the opposite and like be this conduit of like, I have you, I have your attention. We're here on purpose. And so we're going to make this count. Like, we're going to make this moment matter. Like, we're going somewhere. And a therapist kind of has a similar situation with the couch. Like, they're coming in they have a need, which is giving the therapist permission and access to go somewhere, because why else are you here? So yeah, it's an incredible honor to get to dive into someone's story. The room disappears pretty quickly. The camera disappears very quickly, and it turns into a one-on-one conversation. I think that's part of the glory of my life, is what God's gifted me in creating an environment where people can be themselves and say things they've never said out loud before. And I can kind of help guide and weave into the deeper places of their story and their heart. And some of that ends up being a project, but most of the time that ends up just being an encounter in a relationship with getting to know someone, or going into healing and doing ministry with someone. That's what I'm about. Using story to access the deeper longings of people's hearts and help them have an encounter. But when I get to do that on a work level, it's the coolest thing in the world. Like, it's so rad. Like, it's what keeps me going, holding out for more opportunities like that. So I did get to spend a lot of time with them. We'll go back to a little further. Like, when we started working on the Wild at Heart project, Wild at Heart, the series, John had identified these 5 guys, ended up doing 5 or 6 guys. And it really started with, like, I do lots of Zoom calls with them, much like this. And just have them tell me their story. And then we'd just wander through their story for 1 to 2 hours each call over the course of a few different calls. And each time I'd kind of come in and bring something or an area that was brought up the first time. We go back in the second time into more specifics, the third time into more specifics. It might be like, okay, let's camp out in childhood, and I want to kind of fish for some things there, or let's camp out in career and the artist, and like, let's see where those connection points are. And then doing my best to take all of those notes and Zoom calls and find what are the major through lines. What are the major kind of threads between really the Wild and wearing the lens of Wild at Heart as the sort of the blueprint through which I'm listening to someone's story, which I don't know how not to do. Like, you're probably the same way. Like, I don't know how not to listen to a person's story. So I'm not like consciously choosing to think about Wild at Heart. It's like, this is how I have learned people. Like, everyone's got a story. Right. So you drop their story over this blueprint, and you can see it. It comes to life. So, and that's how we plan the projects and plan the stories from there.
And the interesting thing, like, it wasn't like you don't actually reference the book very often in any of the stories.
Right.
It's, and I can't remember the framework that you guys had described it, but it's I think what we see in the news frequently is these stories of incredible guys who sort of fall from grace.
Right.
And these are stories of broken men who have come to life through
a
deeper relationship with Jesus.
Yeah.
And I think in this scenario, the content that John's offered through the Wild at Heart message is a catalyst to that. Mm. It's like, or at least a signpost saying, look here. Or as the scene from the Les Mis clip that we like is like, you haven't tried that door. Yeah, exactly.
Yeah, it's not, the films are not the book. They are like, the quote you're referencing is, we've heard too many stories of broken men. What is it? Gosh, man, my brain right now. We've heard enough stories of seemingly good men failing. What we need to hear is stories of broken men becoming really good men. Mm. That's the hook.
Yeah.
I'm like, heck yeah, man. Like, how hopeful. But what it is I think Wild at Heart as a book has a way of helping people make sense of their life.
Yeah.
You know? And then taking some of the most difficult, hard, painful parts of their story and highs, the good of their story, and recognizing that, like, God is knocking through these things to get you to turn more and more of your heart over to Him. And when you become aware of these parts of your story that you maybe probably most likely have avoided because you don't go there,
right?
Who would? When you become aware of them and you let them come to the surface, and then Jesus comes in, that's where the transformation comes. So it's like, you want to talk about Wild at Heart through the lens of a man's story. It's like, let's show the parts of the story that was hurt, that where they were hurt.
Right.
Let's see how those things shaped them, and then how Jesus came in and brought transformation, and what's the ripple effect of that? How is that now? Who are they?
Yeah.
Because of that. That's kind of the arc of each of the episodes, which is so fun. It's like the coolest. Yeah.
Right. Like, my daughter, she would say, she's like, Dad, you always take conversations weird places. Because like, even walking out of church this last Sunday, one of my good friends, they had taken their sons up to college. Before, it had just been one. This time it was two. So he had texted us, like, coming back. He's like, we basically cried the whole way back. So we're walking out of church together, and I'm like, how are you doing? I heard it was a rough week. Because I was like, yeah, I don't care about the weather.
Yeah.
I was
Get
like,
the shallows.
Yeah. Yeah. We're not shallow. So we're like, no, let's go dive into the deep stuff.
Yeah.
And if you're wondering, oh, what is this dark spaces or these places we've been hurt? It may not be places you've been hurt. It may be places where you hurt others. Right. But there's shame, there's guilt.
Exactly.
Those pockets are things that have happened in your life, either to you or by you, that you hope no one ever finds out.
Yeah.
And what I love this translation of this verse that I've heard recently. It's, the verse is, confess your sins and He is faithful and just to forgive you. Very religious sounding, right? But I was like, when you actually look at it, it's tell the story of your brokenness.
Right.
And you will find healing and transformation through the power of the Christ. That's the gospel.
Dude, and that's the gospel. And there is something, the telling of your story audibly to someone else is healing in itself.
Yeah.
It's so overlooked. Like, I just had a conversation with a young guy 2 nights ago where he just told me his story. And and I'm asking him questions, and we're weaving, and I'm digging, and after I just said, "How do you feel now?" He's like, "Amazing." And I'm like, "You needed to get that out."
Yeah.
That's the confession, is vocal, get the thing that's trapped out in the light. Put light on it.
Yeah.
That's what we get to do with storytelling. It's like, put light on the thing. Put light on the thing. One of the things God told me years ago that helped me know who I am, kind of in this one of those identity moments where I'm like, what am I doing? Like, I'm doing commercials. I'm doing, like, it's great, whatever. I started a production company doing lots of commercials for brands. And sometimes I wake up and I'm like, what am I even doing with my life? Like, there's no meaning to this work. There's relationships, but like, what am I? Anyways. But he was one of the things, it was sort of putting language to my calling, which was, you understand me, Daniel. Like, you carry my heart. And what you get to do through your work or through your calling is hold up a mirror to people and help them view themselves and help them view their stories the way that I see them. I'm like, that's the greatest. Thank you. Yes, that's what I want to do. That's what makes me come alive. It's like, I want to be a part of projects that allow me to hold up a mirror into someone's life for their sake, not an audience's. Now, by association, that can happen across thousands of encounters of people that view the work and they start to make sense of their own life, just like John's book did. But like, for Mark or Pablo, like, for them to look back and watch the thing and be like, oh, you just told my own story back to me in a way that I've never understood it or heard it. And now I hear it. I see it. I see what God's done. And it's just it's such an honor. Like, I don't care who watches it. I don't care who watches the work. When that's the thing, like, that's where, the identity crisis gets solved. Like, oh, if that's my motive, if that's my calling, the output no longer matters.
Right. That's so incredible.
Yeah.
I went to a conference earlier this year, and coming back, somebody's like, was it successful? Was it worth it? I'm like,
yeah.
How are we going to define that? Yeah. Financially, no, it was a terrible financial.
Yeah.
All I did was spend money completely. Did I gain a lot of subscribers? A handful.
Yeah.
But did I have some really good conversations with people? Absolutely.
There you go.
And are some of those, and I am confident of this, did some of those conversations shift their lives? Yes.
For sure.
And like, Jesus crossed the sea in a storm to meet with one dude who had demons.
Yeah.
If I show up and we have the conversation with one person, then that makes it worth it.
I think so.
So, yeah. This is why Daniel and I really, we get each other. We experience and have a lot of the same passions and heart. And
yeah.
So I'm just really excited we got to sit down and dig deeper into the things that matter to us in the world. And so check out, this is sort of the kickoff of a series, assuming I get Mark on the schedule.
Oh, heck yeah.
So coming up on the podcast, we are going to be talking with Leo, with Pablo, with Sam, and with Mark. All of these guys on here. And I told you before, Leo's conversation, we talked about a lot of things that were not included in the docuseries.
Yeah.
So you got to watch both.
And it's been a long time.
Picture.
So like for the guys like Leo and these guys to like jump back in and talk about this stuff, like it's been a few years. A lot of life has happened. A lot of things have changed, and there's going to be new chapters. That's one of the coolest things about life is like, this does become a time capsule for them to be able to look back on. And we should probably do part 2 and part 3 and part 4 every 10 years.
Oh, that'd be incredible.
Just see how it all unfolds. But yeah, watch these stories. They're really beautiful. Hope I get to do more projects like this. But if not, I'm going to keep doing it around my fire without a camera.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah, because that's where our hearts come alive is that.
That's right.
And I love how you brought back the time capsule back to the very beginning, like a skilled storyteller.
Oops.
And so, go check out, they're free at the YouTube channel, Watt at Heart's YouTube channel. The links for all the episodes will be in the show notes. If they wanted to check out more of your work, Daniel, where could they go?
Yeah, my company is processcreative.co. You can go to our website, see a lot of the commercial work I do and different things, and danielchesnut.com, somewhat updated and relevant sometimes, but
about as updated as your calendar, right?
Yeah, exactly. No, really honored, Paul. Thank you for having me, and we should do more talk about movies and stuff like that. This is fun. Yeah. I love hanging out with you. Maybe likewise, in a jacuzzi next time.
Yes,
in the snow.
With cigars. That sounds great. So this has been Paul McDonald and Daniel Chesnut, not talking about a movie in particular, but talking about stories that actually matter, the stories of your heart. And so check out his stuff. Check out the Watt at Heart channel. Check out the guys' stories, and come back because we're going to be talking to more of these guys and digging into their stories and the movies that we love. Because that's our sneaky way of getting in, right?
Yep.
You show them, oh, why does that story matter? Oh, you start asking those questions. You start getting to know somebody. So I hope you guys enjoyed it. And I hope you join us next time here on the Men at the Movies podcast.
Something inside has been awakened. I can no longer be who I was before. But if I am no longer who I was, who am I to be?